Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer joins me to discuss MC Mining's coking coal offtake agreement, the need for the industry to reinvent itself, and electric vehicles being used underground. Welcome, Martin.
Hi, Sashni.
Now, MC Mining has signed off first coal offtake agreement for hard coking coal at its Limpopo project, Mercado.
You know, we've been such big miners of thermal coal, which is burnt, and it's got good prices at the moment. But if you look at the hard coking coal, it's always double the price, because that goes into the manufacture of steel. So we can see the company has changed its name to MC Resources, and I'm sure they're emphasizing metallurgical coal. So the startup of this we've been waiting for a long time. You know, Rio Tinto used to own these assets. Chapudi they used to talk about, and we used to think of getting hard coking coal at some stage, because when you export that, you know, it's good for our foreign exchange. At last we're seeing through a development miner, MC, you know, this is actually becoming reality. You can see that every step they take brings us closer to the reality of being able to export hard coking coal, and also to be able to substitute imports, because we want to turn it internally as well. At the moment we're having to import coking coal, which is not good for our foreign exchange either. There will be thermal coal as well, a lot of it, but the big thing is getting this hard coking coal going, and I think David Brown has done quite a good job there, because we see he'll probably announce the funding of it by April next year, and then turn the first sod in the middle of the next year, and we could be producing around about 2022, which is a nice turn up for the books for MC Mining, which is at quite a bitter situation in South Africa under previous names, Coal of Africa, etc. And it's now settling down quite well. I'm sure the shareholders will be happy, because this offtake is by a Chinese company, and we can see the Chinese quite interested in getting offset and some sort of shareholding into Southern Africa at the moment. I think there's a confidence in Southern Africa. We know that China owns 0.25% of our biggest bank, Standard Bank, and I'm sure they're pleased with the dividends they've got from that, and probably haven't had many dividends from elsewhere in Africa, so growing more confident in South Africa.
And Rio Tinto, they've called for a reinvention of the resources sector to fit in with the modern world.
Yeah, you know, this is becoming quite a thing amongst the big miners, and I think the big boogeyman behind all this is the recycling of commodities. I mean, you can dig the hole, you can get the material out to port as fast as you can, get it into the market, but if it's iron ore, somewhere along the line there is scrap iron. And when it comes to platinum, of course, it's an even bigger boogeyman, because platinum is not consumed. So if you can recycle that, you know, you're going to get as good as you can from going deep down under. So I think that Jean-Sébastien Jacques, who's the CEO of Rio Tinto, is echoing some of the scares of the big mining companies at the moment. You know, you can think, well, mining is driving my economy. It could be South Africa, it could be Australia, it could be Canada. But what you're actually doing is you're taking metals and minerals out the ground, you're sending them into the world. It's fine if it's thermal coal, because they burn it, and it just, you know, creates a few concerns around climate change. But many of the other metals and minerals, they can be recycled. And this is top of the mind now, to rethink how you're going to do your mining. Are you going to become involved in the recycling process, which I think is essential? Let's call it urban mining. That recycling should be far more precise and exact, getting that back. And when you do mine, make sure you're doing it properly and you're using the most modern techniques. I know they say, oh, other industries, car manufacturers, look at all the high technology they're using. Mining is a little bit different. It's not as easy. You're digging holes all the time. You've got to fill behind you. Then you're going into a new area. It's a constant move. It's not like building a big building or building some sort of thing that you're manufacturing. So they've got to do it better underground. And I think some of the biggest thoughts coming through now are from a multiplicity of mining companies. They're also now talking partnership, because they realize this is a major risk that they're going into. They're even talking about swarms of robots, where, you know, you've got swarms of robots going underground, and they're consuming the ore body and only the ore body. So there's no waste coming out, because the amount of waste that comes out of there, that's got to end. And it's almost like a swarm of locusts coming in and just eating that agricultural product and bringing it out of the mine, so that you are not damaging beyond what you need. And at the same time, you know, hopefully you're cutting your costs, because they need to be able to cut their costs if they're going to compete against their own product on surface that is being recycled. They must make sure they get a better margin, you know, from the primary mining, because if the secondary mining, this urban mining, comes up and it's lower cost, those people are going to be high margin characters, and they could probably consume even the mine later on. And we see some big groups, you know, getting involved in recycling, and I'm sure the mines must be thinking to themselves, yo, we better get in there before it's too late.
And lastly, BHP Billiton is looking to do away with diesel underground and is looking to electric vehicles.
Just look at these sanctimonious guys saying, oh, we're going to get rid of diesel and all those terrible fumes that our people have been breathing in, although we haven't worried about it then, and we won't have to have respiratory equipment, and how angelic are we? I mean, how shocking. We know that there have been catalytic converters that could have been put in that equipment ages ago. Those catalytic converters contain platinum, which then makes sure that you don't have this terrible pollution. How dare these big companies now, oh, big deal, we're coming in with an electric vehicle. Gee whiz, I mean, they should be held up against the wall, BHP Billiton. How did you let this happen for so long? And all the other companies, why are you putting people's health at risk? And I think that the governments have to come in here and saying no more pollution underground. I mean, you're underground. Now you've got these big diesel fumes. Gee, they should hang their head in shame, these CEOs, and the governments as well. How can the government say, oh, we're promoting health and safety, when they don't even sit down and legislate to say you can't do this? And of course, if they had legislated, South Africa may be in a better position. You know, we should have fuel cells there. These should be emission-free. You can have your hydrogen systems there far easier. You've got these big trucks, big vehicles spewing out pollution. In the past, they've just been cost orientated about it. I mean, we had those big mines here, Sishen, where if electricity was cheaper, then they used to have an electrical line going over the top, and these trucks would come down, and of course then they were clean. But it was all about money. It wasn't about health or helping. Then if the electricity got too expensive, oh, they'd use diesel again, with no systems, even though they are available. And people are in mining, and they should be promoting that. They don't do it, and the governments don't do it. I think it's shocking, you know, that they're now patting themselves on the back down in BHP. Oh, they've got 450 kilometers there, and they want to get rid of the diesel, this new thing. Far too late. Someone should be saying to them, you know, what about all those guys who've suffered injury as a result of your negligence while you've been taking massive bonuses home? It's a scandal beyond belief.
Well, let's hope change comes soon. Thanks for speaking with us, Martin.
It's a great pleasure, Seshni.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on the local and global mining industries.